Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Adam W. Rodriguez, and I am your host here at the Art of AWR. Welcome to my channel. Today, I am going to try to do something a little new, but not terribly new. And that is, I'm going to do a review of short stories and try to make a slightly shorter review video. We shall see just how short this video gets. Today is October the 7th, which is my birthday, and it is also the exact same day that Edgar Allan Poe died. Not the same year, but the same day, right? So, in honor of all of those things, I've decided that my first short story that I will be reviewing is Edgar Allan Poe's Hop Frog, one of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe stories. But before I begin, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel. If you like videos about stories and creativity in general, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and hit that bell so that you get new notifications every time a new episode drops. Awesome! Edgar Allan Poe. Bum bum bum. Hop Frog. Hop Frog was written in 1849. That is the exact same year that Edgar Allan Poe passed away, on October 7th, my birthday. Let's talk about it again. Happy birthday, Adam. Woo! It also had another title other than Hop Frog. It was also called 8 Chained Orangutans. Awesome title, right? And pretty much on the nose. Let's talk about Hop Frog, the character. So Hop Frog is a dwarf. He is a jester, and he was this dwarf who was taken from some distant land, brought here by this king. He enslaved Hop Frog, but Hop Frog had a penchant for being hilarious, and he also had a penchant for practical jokes. Hop Frog wasn't the only one that was brought here and enslaved. He has a friend who is also a dwarf, but better proportioned, named Trippetta, and she is kind of a dancer. And she is also highly favored by this king that has enslaved them. Now, Hop Frog is favored in some ways, but he's favored because the king and all of his advisors like to sit in a room and totally torment Hop Frog. They give him the name Hop Frog because he is a dwarf whose lower legs are deformed, to the point where his means of mobility is described in the story as a combination between a leap and a wriggle. So they laugh at the way that he ambles about the court chambers. But they do use Hop Frog as sort of a springboard for practical jokes that they are all very, very fond of. The king is very, very fond of practical jokes, and Hop Frog is very good at them. So the story begins with this king bringing in Hop Frog to get advice because they're about to have this big masquerade, and Hop Frog and Trippetta are kind of in the center of it. You know, they're the folks that are kind of helping to prep it and make it great. But of course, this king and his advisors wait until the last minute to decide on what to do as far as like costumes and stuff are concerned. So they bring in Hop Frog to ask him, "Hey, what should we do at this ball, oh Hop Frog?" But they, of course, are quite fond of tormenting Hop Frog. So they make him drink wine as they're having this session. Now, Hop Frog himself does not like to drink wine, for it makes him very quick to be drunk. It doesn't take much, and it makes him angry. It's interesting because Edgar Allan Poe himself was a guy who struggled with alcoholism. He would go through these bouts where he would just drink and drink and drink, and then he would go through bouts of just like trying really, really hard to not. You know, he struggled hardcore with alcohol. There are some records talking about how Edgar Allan Poe like hated it when he would meet with people and they would try to get him to drink with them because of his struggles with alcohol in general. So it's interesting. There's this kind of parallel with Hop Frog and Edgar Allan Poe, and I think there's some other parallels to be said throughout the actual story, which I may get into here. But Trippetta knows this about Hop Frog, and actually so does the king. The king knows Hop Frog hates it. He's just doing this to torture him. He's a total bully, and throughout the story, he's often referred to as a tyrant. So Trippetta tries to appeal to this king, and as I said, Trippetta is actually pretty well liked by the king, but the king totally gets mad when Trippetta tries to appeal to the king to make him stop making Hop Frog drink, because we all know Hop Frog hates it. The king gets really angry. He grabs a goblet of wine and throws it in Trippetta's face. Now, Trippetta is Hop Frog's only true friend. When the wine hits her face, there's this chatter that's heard in the chamber. And like the king's like, what the hell is that? Even the king is just kind of being a bully once again. And Hop Frog kind of plays it off like it was some other noise, ambient weird noise. And the king finally deals with it. But what it is the chattering of Hop Frog's teeth is what was heard. Often in Poe's tales, the use of teeth is often kind of a foreshadowing of some kind. Usually if teeth are brought to the forefront of the story, this is like a point where start paying attention. Things are going to get really screwy really fast. So he chatters his teeth, and that's when Hop Frog says, hey, better than costumes, I've got a great practical joke that we can pull at the masquerade. And at that point, he's got the king's attention, and all the councilmen begin to listen to Hop Frog's suggestions. And he tells them it's going to be this great jest where he's going to totally make all the ladies at the masquerade faint, and all the men go into hysterics and all this kind of stuff. It's the exact kind of stuff that the king likes. He's a bully, and he likes to watch other people freak out. So Hop Frog knows exactly how to appeal to this guy. Hop Frog is a slave, and one of the things that I thought was interesting, I read an article that argues that Hop Frog is probably the very first evil clown in literature. And honestly, I can't find anything to argue against that. If you could think of a evil clown that predates the 1849 Hop Frog, I would love to hear about it. Please put that in the comments, because I think that would be great. But I hadn't actually thought of that. I was just doing a little bit of research on Hop Frog, and when I saw that claim, and I was like, oh wow, that might actually be true. I can't think of a single thing. Now, yeah, he's not a face painted, circus clown, but this is a court jester. This is a guy who practices buffoonery and acrobatics and stuff like that. It's very classical clown stuff. So yeah, he might be the very first evil clown. He's kind of an anti-hero, because the rest of the story is about him getting his revenge. Now, it's not just that he threw the wine in Trippetta's face. That was just the last straw. He's been abused by these people for years, ever since him and Trippetta were dragged from their country of origin, enslaved, and made to entertain this court of bullyish people. It's an interesting story in that it's about killing a king and his cabinet. These revenge fantasies of classism, going up against the tippy top of power, and being brought low by the lowest of the low, a slave, a deformed slave. I mean, how great is that? And revenge tales, there are several of those in Edgar Allan Poe's repertoire. Well, I guess not several. One in particular, the Cask of Amontillado, I think is what it's called, which is a great revenge tale as well. But there's a little bit of overlap. In the Cask of Amontillado, it's a really hard word to say. It's about this crazy man who doesn't really have much of a motive, but he murders this guy who's a little bit more upper class. And the guy that he murders is wearing motley clothes. They go to this carnival, and the guy's dressed kind of like a clown, right? So there's kind of a switch there. Hop Frog is the killer in Hop Frog, and in the Cask of Amontillado, the man being killed is dressed in motley, jester, clownish attire. In the Cask of Amontillado, the man is buried alive, which is another Edgar Allan Poe trope that you see often. And in Hop Frog, the king is he goes out in spectacular fashion. I'm not going to give away the end because I think you might be interested enough at this point to actually go and read it. It's a very, very short piece. It's like reading a Grimm's fairy tale. You could do it in a quick sitting and then read 4 or 5 more Edgar Allan Poe tales probably in the same sitting. It's not one of his more popular pieces. It's me personally. I just love this piece. It's one of those that I keep going back to. And I can tell a lot of other people like it as well. There's been some wonderful art that's been based off of this. I've got a copy of this one volume of Edgar Allan Poe, not this one, but I have a second volume of Edgar Allan Poe that I keep just because the illustrations are so great. And some of the illustrations for Hot Frog in particular are just stunning and wonderful. I mean, yeah, you've seen the pictures here showed in this video, so you'll see what does go down. And that is that the king and his cabinet are convinced by Hop Frog to dress as orangutans, as 8 orangutans chained together. And then he slathers, and what they do is they wear these tight clothes, and Hop Frog slathers them in tar and flax, which is like highly flammable stuff. He parades them into the ballroom, and everybody starts freaking out because these costumes are so amazing and so realistic. Earlier in the festivities, Hop Frog and Troppetta have removed the chandelier because they say that the candles from the chandelier are dripping on the guests. So when he leads this entourage of orangutans all chained together, he hooks the chandelier hook to the chains of these 8 orangutans and then has Troppetta make the chain go up like it would for the chandelier. And when he does that, all the orangutans are suspended in the air on this chain. Well, Hop Frog is an acrobat. He just jumps up there and he climbs on top of them and he makes a big show of everything about how he's going to reveal who these monsters are. And the people down below think that this is just all part of the entertainment because it's Hop Frog being Hop Frog. And this crazy madness is going on with these people in orangutan costumes. And then Hop Frog takes a torch and puts it on these orangutans and sets them all on fire. The king and his entire cabinet incinerate before everyone's eyes. And not to add insult to injury, they've locked everybody inside this ballroom. Troppetta has the key. Hop Frog climbs to the top of the chain, gets out onto the roof where him and Troppetta are together. Trippetta's there waiting for him, and they both escape. And we have this wonderful murder by Hop Frog, to which he is not brought to justice. I love it. It's a wonderful tale. It reads like a really, really graphic and brutal Grimm's fairy tale. I like it a lot. It's a tale about a deformed dwarf who gets the best of a bunch of powerful bullies. And it's the exact kind of tropes that I totally dig. And I hope you do too. And if you do, read Hop Frog. Now, I know I just kind of spoiled the whole bloody thing for you, but the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe does make this an even greater tale. It's actually one of those ones where the language of the time doesn't really affect me much. I just reread it right before I did this video. And I remember even like as I was reading it going, gosh, the language is so easy in this one. And that's not the case for a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. So maybe it's just, it's a perfect little story. And it's very accessible to anybody. So that was my review of Hop Frog by Edgar Allan Poe. I love it. It's gruesome, it's hardcore, it's gory, and it's all about the comeuppance of some terrible, terrible human beings. What's not to like? Well, I hope you enjoyed my birthday video. Today was the day that I was born, and today was the day that Edgar Allan Poe passed away. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it, and I will see you guys next time right here on the Art of AWR. Ciao!